We're coming to the end of the first week of March, and this week at Queen's Park, obviously much of the discussion was dominated by the fast evolving situation with COVID-19. The Premier did hold a briefing with all four party leaders about the government's plans, contingency plans, and the message I delivered, and I believe the government has heard, is just how important it is to make sure that we have plans in place and that we communicate those plans with the people of Ontario and with all MPPs. I asked my most recent question today was really pushing the government on ensuring that we have a paid sick leave policy. Public health officials are saying if you're sick, stay home. If you have COVID-19 symptoms, self-quarantine. But unfortunately, a lot of people can't afford to miss a day of work. And we need some plan in place to support those workers. Like, we're all in this together as we deal with the coronavirus situation. And we need to make sure we're all caring for each other. And nobody should have to choose between, staying home and keeping people safe and being able to pay the rent or pay their mortgage or put food on the table. And so while the government, clearly doesn't want to reverse themselves on taking paid sick days away, which I think they should reverse themselves on, at the very least, they need to have some sort of emergency leave or temporary paid sick day policy in place as we try to reduce the spread of COVID-19. I also had the pleasure of welcoming Rochelle Devereaux, the Executive Director of the Guelph Community Health Centre, and one of the leaders in the Guelph Ontario Health Team at Queen's Park this week, and asked a question of the government, pushing them to provide funding to local Ontario health teams as they deal with reorganizing healthcare in this province, because our healthcare system is already under significant stress due to hospital overcrowding. Now you add dealing with the coronavirus on top of it, and we do not want the government's reorganization's efforts to divert time and resources away from frontline health care, and that's why we need to make sure our local health teams are adequately funded. This week opened with International Women's Day, and I had the honor of giving a statement in the House and really challenging the government to reverse some of its policies and cuts to programs that disproportionately affect women. One of the questions I asked the government this week was whether or not they would say no to increasing the use of natural gas-fired power plants in Ontario. There's currently a proposal to build a natural gas pipeline through Hamilton to fire up those plants that would lead to a 300% increase in greenhouse gas emissions in Ontario. This is just wrong. This is a proposal that will increase natural gas heating costs for consumers, will increase electricity costs, and will lead to a 300% increase in climate pollution. It's a lose-lose-lose situation. The government also released their flood strategy this week, and it's a strategy that rings hollow in my mind because the government doesn't provide any funding for it. So here we have a government that cut the tree planting program, cut the flood prevention program, are attacking conservation authorities which play a vital role in protecting us from flooding. So if we're going to have a flood strategy in this province, it needs to be a strategy that's backed up with flood mitigation funding to make it work. The Green Party, we hosted a community town hall this week on affordable housing and received fantastic feedback on innovative and visionary strategies to make sure that everyone in our province has an affordable place to call home and that we increase the supply of affordable housing while protecting the people and places we live in Ontario. This week, we had an Opposition Day motion, and I was pleased to stand up in support of calling on the government to restore 50% operating funding for local transit systems and to reverse their elimination of the discount program that if you travel on GO and TTC. And primarily, I think the government's going in the wrong direction because we want to make transit affordable and accessible for people. If we want to give people an alternative to driving their cars, which would reduce gridlock and reduce climate pollution, then we need to ensure that transit regionally and locally is affordable, accessible, and reliable. And that's what having provincial operational support would do, and providing integrated fares between GO and TTC and other transit systems to reduce costs to consumers. I just want to close by saying, when I'm here at Queen's Park, I have a number of meetings, had a lot of great meetings with a variety of groups here this week, but I'm also looking forward to having a week away from Queen's Park next week, where I have the opportunity to meet with a number of people in my own riding and to connect and listen to my constituents and bring their voice to Queen's Park.